Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. It's Tony D again on Tony D's Music Channel, and I thought I'd come on here once again and give even more thoughts about the Boys of London Lane, the new McCartney album. I know I already did 2 videos on this, or 3 videos, but I want to give you more of my thoughts, because I have even more to say about these songs. First of all, there is so much to say about As You Lie There, the first track, which is not what I expected at all from a song with that title. I thought, based on the title, maybe it'd be a sad song about his mother the night that she died. But no, it's actually a very erotic, somewhat creepy song about a woman named Jasmine that he met once as a young lad, and someone that for some reason he still thinks about and still fantasizes about. I don't mean fantasize in the sexual way, I just mean fantasize in a romantic way. And I just think that's so fascinating that Paul is at this stage in his life, in his 80s, happily married, and still thinking about this woman named Jasmine he met when he was very young. Because I remember all of the girls I had crushes on when I was a young boy and teenager and 20-year-old. But I don't think about any of them at all anymore. Why would I? I think it's really I think it's really fascinating and compelling that Paul's still listening to this person. And if you look at the lyrics of this song, he still has so many visual memories of when he first met this woman, or met her for the first time. You know, when I walk outside your house, do you ever think of me in the behind the blinds in your house? He probably still remembers exactly what her house looked like, because Paul has that kind of memory. It feels like it just seems like with these songs in this album, where Paul is vividly recalling events from his childhood, that he has this gifted sense of memory. And Paul has always done this, whether he was 30 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. He can just perfectly tell these stories about his things in his youth, and vividly and visually tell these stories. I think he has this gifted sense of memory, especially from the past or the present. And it's one of those traits that I think it's one of those traits associated with autism. And full disclosure, I am on the autism spectrum, and one of those traits is having this gifted sense of memory and recalling things in a vivid visual way. And that's what makes his album so great, is that on so many of these songs, when he's recalling his youth, he's recalling these memories in a vivid way. You know, on the song Salesman Saint, Paul vividly recalls how his parents struggled greatly but got by with the piano and the radio. I wanted to point that out. And Paul is so many people in one. He has so many different parts of his personality in one person. You know, As You Lie There is just one of many songs by him that has these erotic, racy references to sex and sexual thoughts, along with songs like Come On To Me and For You and I Can Bet and If You Wanna, Stranglehold, Press, Eat at Home. So many songs of his that make reference to that, while also being a doting father and someone that looks back on his youth. So he has multiple parts of his personality. And I also want to touch on Days We Left Behind, because I think that's the best McCartney song in, I don't know, 10 years. Maybe the best McCartney song in 20 years, 21 years. I really do. I think it's as well written as a song like Tug of War or Early Days. Well, it's better than Early Days, but I think that song is Paul singing about his whole life, and mainly his childhood, but singing about the traumatic things that happened in his life. The way he sings, "No one needs to cry, no one is to blame for the days we left behind." That kind of stood out to me when at first listen. I didn't know what he meant by "no one needs to cry, no one is to blame." But I think he's just saying so much traumatic stuff happened to me, but don't be sad for me, don't worry, it's okay. And even in his childhood, a lot of traumatic stuff happened to him. His mother died of cancer when he was 14. His friend and bandmate Stu Sutcliffe died of an aneurysm. Um, yeah, living in a post World War II torn town, and just how much they struggled to make it big. And then losing his former best friend and bandmate to a murder in 1980, John Lennon. I mean, Paul seems like a really happy guy when he's out in public doing interviews, but he's faced a lot of hardships in life. And I think the song Tug of War deals with that a bit, and I think this song deals with that in a huge part. And I think all the all the McCartney scholars will be reading into this song with a psychological lens for many years. I also wanted to mention more about Mountaintop. Just such a brilliant, awesome song. It's all about this woman who goes to a music festival similar to Coachella. I think that's where Paul got the idea. And then she just starts tripping on magic mushrooms. And it's very similar to songs like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And, the beginning chords are very similar to I'm the Walrus. And, it's got a few lyrics that remind me of Lily Rita. Because in the second part of the song, this guy is asking a woman out on a date or something, saying, "We can take the second bus. No one there. No one there to check on what we do." So it's like he's slyly asking her to go and hook up with him. Sort of like Lovely Rita, where he asks Rita, "When are you free to take some tea with me?" And of course, back then, tea meant, go have LSD or pot and then have sex. I think Paul's revisiting that part of his career again by writing a song like that. And several of these songs sound like Paul revisiting his 30, 40-year-old self by writing these really catchy pop love songs. Songs like Ripples on a Pond, which just has this breezy, catchy pop feel to it. It could Ripples in a Pond is a song that could have been written and then sent to some 22-year-old heartthrob, and that could have been the biggest hit of their career. And Come Inside is the song of that too. I could see like 40-year-old Paul singing that, because the way he just rocks out on that, and it's all about inviting somebody to, get inside their mind, sort of like falling in love with them and being with them. And First Star of the Night is a great love song that, it's sort of like a love song that only an elder person could write, because it's all about, it's raining, but you feel happy because this person is with you. And that's a really beautiful thought that I feel like it's more of a song for an elder person than a younger person, because, they're stressed about their life, but they feel okay at that moment because this person's with them. And, speaking of post World War II England, I do want to mention a little bit more about Home to Us, because I just think it's the fact that this song is so catchy, so poppy, so rocking, and it's also about Paul and Ringo and others and their childhoods in Liverpool in the 50s, but he's acknowledging that it was great, and that the world was in a mess, and things were falling down, which of course refers to the war that was that ended years earlier, but there were places in England that were still in rubble. And so it was a dangerous place, really, for young boys. But they still made so much fun of it. You know, the place we used to live in, you could say it wasn't much, but it was home to us. And the fact that, Paul was always the optimist. You know, in the classic Beatles song, you never give me your money, he sings, out of college, money spent, see no future, pay no rent, but oh, that magic feeling. Why is there a magic feeling? You got no money and you're out of college. But he's always the optimist, always seeing the bright side of things, because he really had to do that. If he was being more pessimistic, he never would have made it big. He never would have believed in himself, especially at that time in the 50s and 60s when his family struggled to make money, to make rent. He had to believe in himself. And yeah, this is why I love this album so much. You get several sides of Paul. You get Paul, the balladeer, the love songwriter, writing these catchy love songs like "Come Inside" and "Ripples on a Pond."